Well, hey, what is going on, Liberty fans? My name is Nick Kirby, and welcome to the A Sea of Red live podcast. This is the basketball edition. Show is presented, as always, by Jason Porter Real Estate, covering all of your residential and commercial real estate needs in the Lynchburg area and beyond. And our newest partner, Ironclad Coffee, out of Richmond, Virginia. I am joined once again by the Reverend, the Doctor now, William Matthews. Will, big week for Liberty basketball, taking care of business with a big sweep at home, setting up for the biggest game of the regular season on Thursday night. How we doing?
Good, man. Looking forward to Thursday night and a little nervous about it, if I'm going to be honest, but I think it's exciting.
Yeah.
It all comes down to this.
Yeah, we will be talking a lot about the matchup with Kennesaw State on Thursday night throughout the show. On tonight's show, we're going to have Kyle Road joining us here in a few minutes, as well as our good pal Joel VanderPol. He's kind enough to join us. Joel, I believe, still lives in the Atlanta area, so I know he's been to Kennesaw a few times. So excited to have him on. He was great last year when we had him on our podcast, and then really excited we're going to have Jon, who is the KSU Owl Howl, I believe is what it's called. Really cool guy on Twitter we've interacted with. That's a big Kennesaw State guy. Get his thoughts on the game. Before we get started, if you are watching tonight on YouTube, please take 2 seconds, hit that like button, show us some love. While you're there, please subscribe to the channel. Really helps us continue to grow the platform, all kinds of great content. And then the Sea of Red live podcast, also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Be sure to subscribe there. Leave us a 5-star review, all that kind of stuff. And got a big announcement also on Thursday night. Chad and Jon are going to be live at Kennesaw State, going to cover the game, the big matchup. So we're looking forward to that. We are hoping to do a pregame show before that and get a live interaction with Jon and Chad at the arena there. So really looking forward to that. All right, well, let's jump right into it. We got a big show, of course, tonight, so want to make sure we get to it all. The Liberty just dominated Bellarmine. It was beautiful. I mean, I think Bellarmine is – I'll keep my thoughts to myself. But it was nice to see them win this by 20. Bellarmine, man, you got to give them credit because every time I watch them, I just go, how do these guys win Division I basketball games? And they've had a great season, but Liberty just too much in this one. How about this, Will? Liberty 17 for 18 inside the arc. I mean, they just played bully ball against Bellarmine.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to watch because we've always one of the, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse or a knock or what, but you always kind of talk about Liberty. You think about the 3-point shot and you think about living and dying by the three, but they have been getting inside a lot here, especially since the start of conference play. And that combination of Blake and Shallow and Brody, like just even Porter, like kind of getting up close to as well. It's like a lethal combination when you can shoot so well inside and shoot well on the outside as well.
Yeah. We just eliminate the mid-range. Inside, right around the rim is a beautiful thing. Those points are good. Those points are high percentage. So this was just an awesome game. Just Liberty dominated from start to finish. Outscored Bellarmine by 37 points in the 2 games. I know we're not about revenge here with Liberty, but I'm about revenge.
Yes,
so
we are.
That was beautiful. And then, speaking of revenge, 10-point win over Eastern Kentucky. I tell you what, I thought Eastern Kentucky played a good ball game. I thought they really gave Liberty all they could handle. I thought I was really impressed with how they fought back in the second half. I thought this was a well-earned 10-point victory for Liberty. I know Liberty was favored a little bit more, but 10 points, I think, was a really good performance from Liberty because they needed it. Our guy Kyle Rodovan here on just a minute. It was his first Ken Palm MVP of the game. I'm sure Kyle's going to brush off that trophy later on. But he had a great game, 17 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. A lot of times what Kyle does doesn't show up on the stat sheet. But this one it did. He completely filled it out. So this was a good one. And then Liberty, 19 of 21 at the line. Eastern Kentucky, man, I tell you what, I wish we could play them a little bit more. I love playing them. I love their style. I love everything about what they're doing. I think they're building a good program. Kind of sad to see this ending with the ASUN going away.
Yeah, it seems like they really have a good coach and a good coaching staff as well. Man, this felt like a game where, the referees, like the officiating was a little questionable at times, and it kind of felt like, man, if we're gonna win this, Darius is gonna have to score like 70 points. And um, I mean, he did score 28. He had a great game, but just the way that everybody else stepped up, and there were at times too where it felt like if it weren't for free throws, it would have been a lot closer. But we still were able to win it by double digits. In every game so far in conference play, we've won by double digits.
Yeah, that's a great point, Will. They go 9 for 21. You go, 14 for 21. It's a closer game, a much different finish at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what, I do not want to see Eastern Kentucky in the tournament. Please, someone knock these guys. They are not a comfortable matchup at all. So credit to them. They're building a great program. But this is still Liberty basketball who took care of business. This felt like a business week. Like, it just felt like Liberty just came in. They just took care of business. Wasn't too flashy. But just did what they needed to do. So that was really cool to see. And here's where we are on the ASUN. Of course, setting up the big matchup with Kennesaw Liberty and Kennesaw 12-2 atop the ASUN. Pretty much Liberty has locked themselves into a 2 seed with a 2-game lead with 5 games to play. Liberty most likely would hold the tiebreaker over Eastern Kentucky. I'm not going to get into all that. There's a lot into that, but I think Liberty would hold any tiebreaker. And Florida Gulf Coast, back from the dead, back into the field. They have knocked Jacksonville out, and now Jacksonville's kind of taken that mantle as the biggest disappointment in the ASUN. Will, any quick thoughts on the ASUN?
Yeah, it's just crazy to see Jacksonville on the outside looking in right now. They were pretty high ranked preseason. Thought they would be a lot better than they are. And then just Florida Gulf Coast having to fight their way back in. That's kind of wild. What are you thinking about this potential matchups as it stands right now?
Well, one thing I feel like a lot of people keep missing this is the tournament is reseeded in the semifinals. Right. So really look at the 9-10, if that's where Liberty's going to end up. That's the only teams you're going to play. There's a good chance if Liberty was the number 1 seed, and this is how it played out, Liberty plays Florida Gulf Coast in the semifinals because if Florida Gulf Coast pulls off an upset, or North Alabama. There's a good chance one of those lower seeds at the bottom of the bracket just pulls an upset. I mean, there's 2 games. There's a good chance one of them wins, right? I mean, it's just, simple math. And then Liberty plays that team. So I wouldn't get caught up with the 4-5 because there's a good chance you don't actually end up playing that team. But yeah,
just looking at this 4-5 seems, if you take those lower seeds, those that first round games out of the equation, 4-5 almost looks like really the only toss up right now.
Yeah. But it's conference tournaments and anything happens. Yeah. There's always an upset.
Oh, for sure.
And in Florida Gulf Coast, they don't make me comfortable either. Man, that team is up to 4th in net. You're talking about a team that is the computers and everything else likes them a lot better than what they've shown. And that's a team that I think could really get rolling as we do get a little bit closer to conference play. But we'll see how that all plays out. All right. Well, should we bring Kyle Road in, Will?
Let's do it.
Let's go. All right. What is going on, fellas? Kyle, welcome to the show. Great week this week. Jason, just a casual Sunday yesterday, or how you doing?
Victory Monday, baby. That's all I'm saying.
Very good. Well, congratulations on your Chiefs. We'll let you claim them on that win last night. That was a fun game. Good game. Jason, why don't you take away the first question for our guy, Kyle?
Yeah, Kyle, congratulations on last week, man. It was a lot of fun watching that. And I think my first question, just again, having the privilege of being able to be there, was the physicality of that ball game, man. It seems to me, and again, this is just kind of me thinking out loud here, but I'd love to process with you a little bit. It seems like maybe the game plan, intentional or not, but probably intentional, has been to play you guys a lot more physical the last couple of ball games. Have you guys sensed that, picked up on that a little bit? Certainly have responded well, but it seems like it's been a lot more physical on the defensive side against you guys.
Yeah, no, I think that's a super fair assessment. I think teams have kind of seen. If you let us be comfortable, we're pretty high-powered offense. So teams are trying to disrupt that rhythm, and most of our losses turnovers has been a thing. So you obviously see teams well, but felt like we did a great job responding, even when we weren't perfect. And
I don't know what that was. That
All
was
right.
Is there a plane flying overhead, or
not mine.
Yeah,
not
I don't
mine.
know. I don't know what that is. Hey, Kyle. Hey, congratulations on being Ken Palm MVP this week. Hey, I'm here to ask the hard-hitting questions, of course, but what's Valentine's Day like in the Road household? What is that little cooking for the wife going on, watching some Nicholas Sparks movies? How's your Valentine's Day week shaping up?
Yeah, so actually, me and my wife, our dating anniversary was always right around Valentine's Day, so it was February 5th. So we kind of always just 2-1 that thing super efficiently. And so we actually celebrated that February 5th. So tomorrow will probably be something really, really low key and just maybe some food and not me cooking it, thankfully. But no, it'll be super low key, man.
Cal Road efficient all the way around. Love it. Kyle, you guys had 12 steals against Eastern Kentucky. That was really impressive. Was that maybe part of the game plan? They play a faster tempo, maybe try to be a little more aggressive on defense?
Well, actually, I think we did a really good job. Our guards, especially, those guards are so quick, and they can really pass efficiently, and their spacing's great with their shooting. Our guards did a great job tracing the ball, is what we call it, and having ball pressure with hands, and it got into some passing lanes, got some deflections, and guys like JV, Zay, Colin, Darius. They're so good at getting steals like that. So it was super cool. I think I had 3 of them, where probably 2 of those were assisted steals by some of those guys. So super glad that we were locked in defensively.
Yeah, Kyle, as you guys get deeper, well, I was going to say deeper into the season, I guess just a handful of games left here. I think everyone's starting to really fall into their role positions, which is cool to see. But I think at the same time, there's kind of always that X factor of never knowing who's going to step up every night. But what are you seeing as the difference here as of late, maybe in February here, more so specifically? What's going on with just the bench guys, and talk about them a little bit, and just, again, never knowing who the X factor is going to be, but somebody always seems to step up.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of our team. We have a group of guys that could play really well, and it doesn't show up in just a typical box score, but you look at their plus minus, and it's like, whoa, they really impacted the game, or just in the details that we like. It was so awesome to see Peeves get hot and hit a couple shots, and then you even look at a guy like Shiloh, who might have not had like the craziest stats week, but he was so impactful for our team on the defensive end. Just how he creates offense for us and his pressure that he puts on the rim. And so just super grateful for guys like that coming off the bench. And Zay, he's so tough, man. I know his elbow in that first game against Bellarmine, he hit it pretty hard, and just one of the toughest dudes I've got to play with. And I could go down the list, man. Blake had a great game. I think he had almost a double-double, and CP knocking down free throws late as a freshman in a big-time game like that was super impressive. So, and then Darius always does his thing, and there's some more guys too, but we only got 10-minute segment. So,
hey, follow-up question about Zay, because during that game it was tied going into halftime, and he had that huge defensive play to end the half. What is he like off the court? I mean, on the court he brings a lot of energy and passion, but is he pretty chill off the court, or kind of what's his personality?
Yeah, 100%. I think he would say the same thing. Off the court, pretty chill, relaxed, and then when he gets on the court, he's competitive, energetic, does all the little things, and just a super reliable guy, right? Like Zay has been an unbelievable person in our program that you've seen kind of grow up and like accept his role and really embrace that over the years. And I'm glad he's on our team and we don't have to play against him. That's for sure.
All right, Kyle. So big time matchup on Thursday night. I know you guys are one game at a time, but it definitely will go a long way in determining who comes out on top of the ASUN. I got a two-part question for you. First, what's your thoughts on Kennesaw State in this matchup?
Yeah, no, I have a lot of respect for their program. It's kind of cool to see a program and a culture like that succeed. Just from when I came into the ASUN and where they were, and we have a lot of respect for how they play, their culture, and we're going to be prepared. Coach does a great job of making sure we respect every opponent, respect every day that we get, and we're super grateful that we're at this point of the season and going to accept that challenge.
The second part of that is does that team kind of remind you? I know you weren't here for the 2018-19 team, but where they it felt like they've had a nice steady improvement the last couple years, but it just feels like this year's like that one year where they took that big leap. Did you kind of see like the parallels maybe with Liberty, with what they were able to do a few years back?
Yeah, I think kind of that recollection too is like they had guys that stuck around, stayed in the program, accepted their role. And I think that's kind of what you see with them as well, just from an outsider perspective. I haven't really got to watch them a ton, but obviously just from like the standings and seeing their success, we know they're a really good culture, a really good team, and it's going to be a really good one.
Kyle, take us through a little bit of what the environment's going to be down there like that. I assume they're billing it just like we've been hyping games around here too. But curious what you guys know about how the gym's going to be hopping down there Thursday night.
Oh, I'm sure it is, man. They have a really, really nice facility actually, and it's actually the last couple times we played there, crowd's been really into it, and I think they do a good job with student engagement and things like that. So. Gonna be a good environment for the Owls. I'm not sure for the Flames, but it's always fun to play road games like that.
Yeah. Quick question, not to look past Kennesaw State or anything like that, but you guys have 2 back-to-back games against Queens. What do you think? What is just your thoughts on that kind of format where you get to see a team back-to-back home and away like that?
Yeah, it kind of brings you back to the COVID days when you played everybody Friday, Saturday, and it's like you played somebody at 7 p.m. and then 3 o'clock the next day. You took a breath, and there was 2 games. So, no, it'd be good, man. They're super impressive what they've done in their first year Division I. I know we have a lot of respect for them as well. And like you said, gonna take this week and just keep it practice by practice, game by game. But like you said, they're those back-to-backs playing the same team reminds you a lot of the COVID. So
yeah, do you like that? I mean, do you like that kind of having like, hey, we only have to look at one team this week?
Yeah, no, it actually helps a lot with familiarity and just knowing kind of tendencies and things like that. It does get a little weird. It gets kind of repetitive, but back when we did it during COVID, you were just at one location, so we would just play at the arena twice or at Queens twice. So the travel is going to be different in there for sure, but it'll be a fun challenge.
All right, Kyle. Well, we are really looking forward to this big matchup on Thursday night. Also, not looking past Jacksonville State, who's also been playing a lot better. Big week for you guys on the road. Best of luck to you, Kyle.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you guys' support.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good luck, man.
Thanks,
All right, Jason, let's switch gears a little bit, talk about real estate and specifically commercial property. Do you do commercial real estate? And if so, what does that kind of look like for you?
Yeah, definitely do, Nick. I appreciate you asking about that. Commercial is a different monster altogether. So if you're in that market where you're looking at some commercial property, or whether it's an office space or something for a business or something along those lines, you want to make sure that whoever's helping you has some commercial background. It's completely different than residential. And I'm fortunate that I get a chance to do both. So I'm thankful for that opportunity. But yeah, I can definitely help out our folks that are in commercial property needs as well. And then wanted to flash this graphic here too. This is just kind of an interesting thing because we get asked this a lot. How do you price commercial property? So wanted to sort of throw this out there. If you've got 1,000 square foot space, we put the math up here for you, and we'll say that they're going to charge $15 a square foot. You see that comes out to $15,000. Now, before people freak out, that's $15,000 for the year. So then you would take that $15,000 for the year, divide that by 12, and that gives you your monthly $1,250 payment per month. So a couple of key indicators there that are important as people are looking at commercial spaces. You want to look at the size of the space, the square footage, and then obviously that price per square foot, and then you can do the math from there and figure it out. We know that the most important words in real estate are location, location, location. In commercial, it's probably 4 of those words: location, 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 and location. So that's how things are billed as far as commercial real estate goes. But be glad to help our listeners and see your red and Flames Nation with any help or with any projects that they have there in regards to commercial real estate as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks for breaking that down for us. Always like getting your insight, and appreciate you and all your support of the See Red Live podcast.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're gonna be back here in just a second. We've got a quick word from Marv Albert and Steve Kerr.
And the pressure has just killed Liberty. No pressure here, and a foul is called as Joel VanderPol looked to lay it home, and he will go to the line. Their last 8 shots, Joel VanderPol is at the line, a 67% free throw shooter for Liberty, and the Flames of Liberty opened up by connecting on 6 of their first 8 shots. They have hit just 2 field goals in the last 7.5 minutes.
Well, the pressure's gotten to them, Marv, and then even when they've broken it, a couple of quick shots, particularly from the corner. One thing you don't want to do if you're worried about transition is take a quick shot, long shot from the corner. Now your transition defense is compromised. So this is all about execution offensively for Liberty, which will help them defend.
Coming up on 6.5 remaining in this first half, and Speaks never to get inside. He's hit all 4 of his shot attempts.
Let's go.
NCAA
Watch the
tournament.
whole game.
Let's watch the whole game and skip for the last 2 seconds.
NCAA tournament scorer, and a great look at that effort getting that play out of bounds. Joel VanderPol. Joel, welcome to the show. It is so good to have you on again,
Guys. It's my pleasure. Initial thoughts. We were wearing skirts. You know, what was Nike doing at the time?
It was a different era.
I tell you what, you guys have to really be scraping the bottom of the barrel. If we've got a NCAA tournament 1-point scorer, but I'm happy to be here. So I appreciate you guys maybe dropping the level of your guests to have me on, because what a fond memory that free throw was. Those shorts were, and that offensive rebound and the hockey assist ×5. So it was a great moment.
It really took a long time for that play to develop to speak. So I was like, well, I gotta show the whole thing here. So I was like,
you really should have played that at like 1.5 speed, like I do on Spotify for most podcasts, so like we can actually get through it, you know.
Yeah, but you can't 1.5 speed Marv Albert. Like, that's disrespectful.
Is it not? Like, was the Steve Kerr thing is like, that's what's crazy to me, is that he was the one who had that game. I remember Alan York sent me a picture after the game of me and Craig Sager talking. That was cool. Because I guess he's from Fort Myers. I had no idea until we met on the sideline. So yeah, great memories. I still remember I still think about it all the time. It was my fondest time. The week before Coastal may have been more fun though, for being honest.
Oh yeah. Hey, is that in your head, like on a game like that? Like, hey man, that's Marv Albert and Steve Kerr over there. Like, are you thinking about that or?
No, what's cool about those moments is like you get ample time to kind of get all that stuff out before the game starts. So like whether it's shoot around, or we had a shoot around the day before, or practice the day before we were late for because our flight our plane got messed up. Then you have your shoot around, and they're there doing a lot of stuff. So you rarely are getting that stuff for the first time come game time. You've really kind of hopefully gotten a little accustomed to it, shoot around and those kind of things. And so in those moments, man, once the ball goes up, it's 94 feet. I forget. I'm old. 94 feet. So
I don't think I've ever known. So
we'll say 94. We'll say 94 for me.
Yeah, sounds good to me. You could only be 10 feet, and I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, seems like."
To be clear, the hoop is 10 feet, and then the court is 94. That's what I was going for. But
I was actually at that live practice the day before.
I'm telling you what, that may have been the most athletic I've ever been in my life, because it was. I mean, that they do that so well, and I mean, the current day players, it's the they have every year, but go to the hotel, the staff has like your t-shirts on, and like they do it really well. Like the NCAA sets those things up really well. But yeah, we were late for that practice, for that open practice, but it was because we were supposed to fly at like 5, and our plane didn't leave till like 2 or something like that, because we were staying at the stadium, just waiting to hear that a plane was there for us. So we got there late, and that was just get loose, have fun. And something about that arena is way more fun than like Dayton Arena should be, right? It's like, but the NCAA just knows how to, the pageantry of the tournament. They just know how to do it. Even for a first 4 game, like we didn't feel like we were any lesser than our record was. But they do an awesome job, and we had a good time with that.
Yeah, Dayton really does that up well. I was actually living 20 minutes away from that at the time, which was just worked out really cool.
I can see why you moved.
Yeah. Yeah. I moved farther north. It actually didn't. It actually got. It's a lot colder. So yeah, then. All right, but enough of that. Let's jump in. So Joel, you were at the EKU game on Saturday. What was that atmosphere like? What'd you think about that? Is that your first game this year?
Yeah. So I haven't been on campus since the last regular season game in Vines. So they did a letter winner thing there. We came back, and then when we kind of heard that they were doing this, we were obviously going to prioritize it. Unbelievable. I actually did sneak in. I came into the kind of the second half of the Bellarmine game too. But just kind of seeing people, wasn't able to kind of get a feel for what was going, but environment, unbelievable. Really hard. My wife played volleyball at Liberty. Really hard to not be like a little jealous of the experience that they now have, but at the same time, like I'm just so happy that they get to experience that. And then when people ask, I'm tall, so people always ask, like, do you play basketball? Like, yeah, and it's so cool to now be like, that's the program that I'm tied to, because not only the wins and the NCAA tournaments, but just like look at this video of the way that they do starting lineups and all that stuff. So I mean, unbelievable environment. They know how to do it. I would say the demographic has really changed since I was there. And these are eye tests, which I'm a big eye test guy. I've told you guys that on Twitter today. It felt like when we were playing, 80% of the fans were students. And it's really shifted to, it is a community thing, man. There are families there, not just like families with 4-year-olds saying you should be excited about this. Like families with, like business owners in Lynchburg, courtside. So, I mean, the whole thing has just leveled up across the board. So fun to just be a part of it, and they took great care of us, and it's just, and we can talk about the team in a little bit and about what their makeup is in a couple different areas, but unbelievable experience. And I told my wife while we were watching, I'm like, yeah, so we probably need to get up here more often, because I mean, I've got a 4.5-year-old and 2-year-old now, and they were in heaven the whole time. So it's just now it's generationally becoming more fun for our family. I'm really good at long answers to short questions. So if you want to just tell me to shut up.
I would never tell.
Oh, good. Hey, I have a couple of questions.
Go ahead. Let's knock them
out. First off, how impressed are you that you get to speak to me tonight? And second of all,
I mean, how much time you got?
No, look, we were going to beat the dead horse tonight, but we're talking about, your experience in the NCAA tournament, the greatest team. You were telling me on Twitter that you kind of maybe had a different way of looking at what is the best team. So we wanted to hear from you. Is this the best team?
So I actually have changed my position on that within the past 72 hours, and here's why.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I'll start first thing I'll talk about the tournament, what we can learn from the 2013 team. So I thought about that today. I think Liberty team has very little to learn from the 2013 team. I think the rest of the league has a lot to learn from the 2013 team, because if you remember, we had to knock off, I think, 1-2 and 1-2 North and South for each, because we were split up at the time. That is not the reality of what Liberty's walking into, right? Liberty is the favorite, and whether or not they end up hosting the whole, there's a lot that can still happen. I get that, but biggest target on their back is Liberty. Even if Kennesaw were to be the number one, like everyone knows it's Liberty's league. I think every other team, whether it's Queens or Bellarmine, I mean, you saw what happened last year. Like, I think they have a heck of a lot more to learn from our run than Liberty does. Liberty doesn't need to go win 4 games in 5 days and surprise everybody, right? Like, frankly, it's theirs to lose. Coach McKay would get upset if he hurt. Like, I get all that, but every other team has way more to learn from our experience than Liberty does. And so that's what I would say about the 2013.
Yeah.
I was for a long time very much wanting to, not a long time, let's say this season, I was very much doing my own evaluation of like, all right, so we got the matchups, and because everyone's doing Ken Palm ratings and the net and all that stuff, which is very important. And like, is this team, on paper versus, I always thought one thing that those things cannot account for is the matchups. And I think that's a very unique way of looking at it, because that 2020 team, I mean, Maya was a mismatch no matter where he played. Caleb was a walking bucket. Scotty was as versatile of a scorer, could go for 20 or for 8, depending on what the team needed. And then Darius was still on that. Like, so, but when I was on campus this week and I was hanging out with the players and I was walking around the facility and Darius was coming up and, he heard that my son wanted to take a picture with him. He went out of his way to come take a picture with my son. I was like, I don't want that conversation for the guys anymore, because I realized, I'm like, it's fun from a fan standpoint, but it's almost just distracting from. So Will, since the last time we spoke, my tune has changed actually. And I have found myself being like, you know what? It would be a heck of a game to put 2020 team on the court versus 2023 team on the court. That would be unbelievable. Like Van Zandt versus Cuffley. I mean, they're unbelievable matchups. And I think that if you want to have the which is the best team conversation, I believe that you have to look at matchups more than what was their record going in, how many games have they won, what are they in the net, what are they in the Ken. Like, guys, it's a game of matchups. And so I think that I didn't see anyone having that conversation on Twitter when the debate was going down. And I said, if you want to have that conversation, you have to look at matchups. However, in the past 72 hours, I'm like, I really don't want that conversation happening right now, because, and what's funny is Austin Marsh is actually, he was the one preaching this weeks ago, but having been there, I'm like, man, this is a special group. That was a special group. And they, again, the biggest robbery was that NCAA tournament getting canceled. Like, that team not easily, realistically could have had a Sweet 16 run. Like, no, we all know that. Could this team? We'll see. But I just found myself like being in there, like with the guys and with the coaching staff and talking with the coaches and like hanging out with the guys and being at shoot around. And I was like, man, like the conversation of this team is way more fun. And the conversation of like what these guys are doing is way more fun than what is the most tempting conversation to have on Twitter, which is who's the best team of all time. Like, so it's a toss.
I think that part of the conversation got a little misconstrued. I think like people like me and John, I think what our goal was, we wanted to point out that this team is in that same level, that more so than anything. I think the jury's still out. There's still going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games left. So there's still time to see. But I think to this point, this team is at least made a case that they're at that level. And that's more what I want to get across to people is, I mean, this team's outscored their opponents in the ASUN play by 226 points. Like, that's ridiculous. I mean,
see, and here's the thing,
a better ASUN.
That team, the 2020 team won 14. They won their first 14 games though.
Look at the competition though.
Oh, I mean, I am not advocating for either side. I'm going to play devil's advocate against any argument you bring me, right? I agree with you. Look at the losses that this team has had. Like, Northwestern just beat Purdue. Like, we get it. Alabama is the number 1 team in the country. Like, we have our losses are very, very good. I frankly don't have an opinion on it. And that is because heartstrings tugged at me a little bit when I was on campus. But at the same time, it's I just think that we can. So Nick, I'm with you in that it's got to be part of the conversation. Like, we can't look at this team and not say they have deserved to be in the best team conversation. 100%. And we may find out that this team goes to, pulls off a St. Peter's run. And then it's like, well, there's no question anymore because it's not from, then it becomes an accomplishment, like what they accomplished standpoint, right? Of course. But, and again, a lot of games left. So my tune's changed a little bit, Will, and I'm not gonna run from that, but it's fun. Like, both of these teams are unbelievable to watch. And again, not to trash, not to even like downplay the teams that we played for because it was a different time. But I mean, we should be so grateful and impressed by like what our ceiling and our floor is now compared to what it was 10 years ago, which, by the way, never felt older than remembering that was 10 years ago, right? that 2013 run. So yeah, I'm not as much of a fun guest anymore because I'm not here to get my spreadsheets out and tell you why one team is better than the other.
Yeah. No, I think the matchup, I think that's an interesting way of looking at it. What was your favorite non-D1 to play, though?
My favorite non-D1 that when I played?
Yeah.
I mean, we sold out against Randolph. That was a fun game. The first, right. I mean, like, I will say, like, it was always tough because like our coaches we would watch film and then like before the game we wouldn't watch film because they wouldn't want us to like, because some of these teams had like bad film, so like, they wouldn't want us to like watch film and be like, oh, it's a cakewalk. So we would we'd prepare a little bit differently. But Randolph was fun. I get him like there was like a Virginia Union, like there was all these like Virginia schools that we would just play to for opening night and stuff. I mean, I can tell you what games were more fun in terms of like the Power Fives we played. Like, that's a far easier conversation than the non-ones.
Yeah.
So real quick here, Joel, what's your thoughts on this this matchup with Kennesaw? You used to live in the Atlanta area. You've been to that arena a few times. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so I used to do radio with Alan because I loved doing that, and it was a ton of fun. Me and Alan have been close, or whatever you want to call it, since I played. And then now I've got a kid, and I'm like, it's way more fun to watch, with him. So the matchup is very interesting. They have 17 players on their roster, and 12 are juniors and seniors. So what their coaching staff did a really good job of was not like abandoning the script 3-4 years ago when they were they weren't winning many games when early on in this coach's tenure there. So now he's got a team, a really old team, and if you look at it, apart from their one smaller guard, they're going to be very long and athletic. And so to look at it from a matchup standpoint, Colin or Darius is going to have a 6'5" guard on him likely. And it'll be very interesting to see how Liberty runs a lot of the top ball screens and handoffs to get those matchups and what matchups they want to exploit. Top 8 scorers are juniors and seniors. I think the Youngblood versus Van Zandt matchup would be very interesting. Like, that's obviously who's going to guard him. I think I would imagine that's what the matchup would be. That'll be very interesting because he's their top scorer. And like, dude, when I saw Van Zandt as a freshman, I was like, he's mature. He's very physical. He's got a lot of size. So I'm really looking forward to that matchup and seeing if he can hold him at bay. But they're also a balanced team. Like, they've got 5 guys that are, between 8 and 13 points or something like that. So it'll be really interesting from a matchup standpoint there as well. I haven't been at Kennesaw since they've been like competing in the ASUN. I mean, like I've been there when they've been a middle or lower tier team in the ASUN. I have no idea what the environment's going to be like, and if that will have any play. It's a big commuter school, so I don't know how how the environment is going to play in. Like, it would be very surprising to me if they can put together a production and environment like Liberty does, right? So we'll see how that plays out. The environment standpoint will be very interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Is there any one guy that you think on Liberty's team that would really need to kind of step up? Because, Darius is going to do what Darius does. Kyle has had some really great looks from 3 and has been knocking them down. Blake has just been a monster inside. And, of course, Zay and, Vincent have the defense on lockdown. Is there another guy maybe not in that kind of group that you think, like, hey, that person has to step up?
Honestly, the biggest thing for me and who didn't just step is on the defensive end, frankly, is we've got to keep one of those guys from going off, whether it's Youngblood or whoever. Kyle manages the game. I tweeted this yesterday. He's like a first-team player, no question. He had a really good week last week, but his numbers are not like jumping off the page at anybody. If anyone who watches a game, I'd love to see what his usage rate is, because in terms of like minutes that he could play, and like I feel like he's in the game the whole time. So Kyle will manage the entire thing. I think that we'll see a lot of Kyle and Colin getting past the first line of defense and kind of at that elbow free throw area, making plays for others. So to me, that means that Brody might have a lot of corner threes. That because Darius is gonna do what Darius does, right? It's like whether it's contested or open, let him do his thing. But I would say what I'm interested to see is what kind of plays for others Kyle and Colin make at that elbow free throw line. Dude, Shallow is a bucket, and this is one of those games. They're long, they're athletic, they're pretty big. We may need Shiloh to assert his will, because he's at that same size and at the rim. So, last thing besides maybe a player that needs to step up, Liberty struggles when they don't get to the free throw line. And Lipscomb at EKU, I think they were in single digits in the free throw line. But then like Austin P, I think they shot 28 free throw. Like, so to me, if Liberty's at the free throw line, it does not matter who is stepping up. If they're at the free throw line early, then that will be the biggest indication for me. So watching Colin and Kyle make plays from that area, and then how well they get to the free throw line, that's what I'll be watching for.
It's a great point on the free throw line, like that.
It's staggering, man. If you look at you know the data. If you look at that, it is staggering compared to their losses, how many free throws they attempt on average, and the win, like the other. It's a very big margin between the free throw line. So I'll be very interested to see how physical, and Kennesaw is a physical, mature, old, veteran, long team, right? You don't probably want to go play among the trees, right? In that setting. But if we can be very aggressive, then I believe we'll control the game if we can stay at the free throw line early and often.
All right, very good. And Cal Road, he is on Ken Palm's first team in the ASUN.
Good. He should. I mean, he deserves. Like if you watch the game, you can't argue with. Like every coach probably hates coaching against Kyle because he's not going to turn it over. He's going to hit open shots. So I mean, Kyle he's the epitome of Liberty basketball right now. So he's the best.
And he can assert
you got a prediction?
himself.
Care to throw one out?
I mean, I think it'll probably be 74-69, something like that. I think it'll be a higher scoring game. Just because I know they're athletic and they want to get out. Liberty will probably try and control the tempo a little bit, but that's one thing. This isn't the 2020 team where the games are in the 50s. We're kind of past that in terms of our offense, and for Darius to get the shots he needs, you can't go as slow. So I think it'll be higher scoring into like 74-69 around there. Obviously us, to be clear.
Yeah, good deal. Yeah.
Clearly. Well, Joel, thank you so much for coming on. We really do appreciate it. Great catching up with you, and hopefully we catch up with you again sometime down the road.
I'll be live tweeting on Thursday, so we'll look forward to a win there.
All right, very good.
Sounds good.
All right, well, we're going to have a quick word from our other sponsor, Ironclad Coffee, and then we'll be back with John to talk about Kennesaw.
Virginia's best and most flames-friendly coffee comes from Ironclad Coffee Roasters. Ironclad roasts and serves up their beautiful beans at 2 cafes in Richmond, but you can enjoy their crafted roasted specialty beans from anywhere in the country by visiting www.ironcladcoffee.com. Place your order there, and it'll be roasted to your order and shipped out directly to your doorstep.
Whenever you find yourself in the Commonwealth, pay them a visit at their 2 cafes in the Richmond area. Ironclad's owners, the O'Rourke family, are proud Flames Club members and are pleased to sponsor these podcasts by Sea Red. Hop on over to their website at www.ironcladcoffee.com now to get Virginia's best specialty coffee headed your way.
All right. Ironclad Coffee, thank you for your support of the ASUN Red Live podcast. We are joined now by Jon, the famous Jon of
Hey, guys.
KSU Owl Howl. Did I say that right?
Works for me. Whatever you get close, I'm fine with it.
Well, first off, my man, what an awesome season for you guys. Seriously, Congrats. First year that Liberty joined the ASUN to where you guys are now. It's been just a really cool trajectory. I just want to start off first. What is the like this year meant to you as someone who's been a fan? Because we were fans of Liberty when there wasn't, some of the best days.
We won a D2 national championship in like 2004. I obviously wasn't around back then following the team. So I started following about 2008, 2009 or so, and we've sucked ever since. So it's a very weird, surreal feeling. Since our football program started in, 2015, we've kind of been a football school more or less. And now the football team had a down year, and now the basketball team has the first good year. And it's just really bizarro. It's like the sports flip-flopped on campus all of a sudden. But it's amazing. I can feel the energy. I have people texting me, DMing me all the time saying, wait, we don't suck anymore? Is this for real? Are we good now? And, I'm like, yeah, I've been talking about KSU sports. I haven't talked to you since like 2014. I mean, now you're messaging me. Okay, cool.
Welcome back.
Yes.
What do you think the atmosphere will be like on Thursday night?
I think it'll be really good. We usually draw, of course, better on Thursdays because the students are on campus. Saturday games, the attendance has been a little bit lackluster. I didn't check on Thursdays, but Saturdays have been like 1,900, almost 2,000 the last couple weeks, I believe. I'm expecting it to be surprisingly good, and we're 12-0 at home. And I wouldn't put it past the Kennesaw State students and the alums to, they're really pushing Kennesaw State basketball in the community now. In the athletic, some of the local publications, the word is getting out. So, if the word gets out enough, and I'm sure the students are all aware, it could be the biggest atmosphere since Georgia Tech came on campus and we beat them in like 2010, 2011. So I'm looking forward to it and seeing what happens.
Jon, who is maybe the one player that you think is maybe the biggest key for Kennesaw in this game?
I mean, obviously, if you just look at the stats and, you might say one of two players. Most people will probably say Chris Youngblood, but I'd say Terrell Burden. And he kind of struggled. He had a good game, a really good game this past Saturday, but he struggled on Thursday. And, the announcers say it all the time on the Kennesaw games, and it's true. He's the engine. We have such a balanced offense, and it's tough for me to, in the past, when a couple of years ago, it was like a Spencer Rogers show. Spencer Rogers is not shooting. We're not going to win. We're not going to play well. But this year, you just have so many guys, and I find myself asking myself the question, if I could remove one guy from this team, and it would hurt them the least, there's four starters that I probably couldn't, really pick from easily. But I'd say Burden is the guy to watch. You got to stay in front of him. He's lightning quick. He's the guy, he has, his body language is, kind of calm demeanor. But at the end of the game, he's a killer when it counts most. And he will get to the basket. He will make you foul him. He works doing it so much better than when he first came to Kennesaw. He uses his angles so well around the basket, forcing teams to either give up the hoop or foul him. So he's the guy that, I think you got to watch. And his passing has improved in three-point shooting. If you look at his year-to-year numbers, it was something like 10, 20, then 28%. Now it's probably around 40 to 50%. So I think he's the guy.
I wanted to ask you about Chris Youngblood. His efficiency numbers are through the roof. I mean, just shooting great from the free throw line, shooting great inside the arc, shooting really, really good from 3-point. Does he not take enough shots, like looking at his numbers, or is the fact that he isn't taking as high of a volume this year, is that what has made him as good as he's been?
Yeah, I think he plays through the rhythm. I think the team plays very well. As coach says, connected, fist, all that kind of stuff. I think we move the ball really well. And that's something we've done this year as opposed to previous years. We used to, turn it over. Guys didn't really, know where the other one was going, that sort of thing. I think Chris, he's the highest rated prospect in school history. He was like probably, some will say 4, some will say 3. I think he's like a high 3 bordering on a 4 when he came here. We got him just before he really took off and, stuck with him. We took his high school teammate Stroud, and then we took Kason Jennings, who knew Stroud and Youngblood well and is from the area. And you have the base for those 3 right there. But anyways, Youngblood, he plays within the offense. He has such a quick pull on his 3-point shot. And this team has a knack for always hitting the big 3, whether it's Youngblood, Stroud. When you think, oh, the other team's about to make a comeback, somebody comes down and splashes one out of nowhere. But yeah, he's very efficient. He's expanded his game tremendously. When he was a freshman, he was just a spot up 3-point shooter. Now he can put it on the ground. He can, he's hitting 86% from the free throw line. And his catch and shoot is tremendous, especially when he's on. You can't leave him at all because it's just such a quick ball.
Hey, it's gonna be a great game, John. It's thanks for joining us. It's cool to see a face to the Twitter handle.
Absolutely.
And I've always enjoyed interacting with you. And I'm a fan of all things Atlanta for the most part, Braves, Hawks.
So I've
enjoyed watching.
Let me turn you right now.
Yeah,
Come
maybe.
on.
I don't know. Yeah.
Join the owl side.
Whoa.
But yeah. Let's not get too crazy, John. But hey, I think what Kennesaw has done is very much parallel to Liberty's success as far as the upward trajectory that the programs are on. And so I've been enjoying watching Kennesaw rise. And are the Kennesaw folks looking at this game potentially as kind of the starting point of a rivalry, since we're going to Conference USA together and all of that stuff?
That's tough to say. I haven't heard any of that rivalry talk. I think we actually have to win something first before we can stake claim to that. So, I think if we win this game and, or if we win the conference at the end of the day and win the tournament, then yeah, I think, absolutely we can get something brewing. The problem is that we have that gap year in between where we're kind of floating around in the middle of nowhere while you guys are already in Conference USA. But before I head out, I just want to ask you guys one quick question, okay? Will you guys be making the trip to Kennesaw for the conference tournament finals?
No.
Just wondering.
I'll probably be headed to Lynchburg for that one, but yeah.
I don't know, man. It's a lot nicer weather down here, so I think it should be held here. So
I love the punch. Yeah, I forgot you guys have that gap here. You guys could really have a great season in the ASUN next year if most of your guys are juniors, right?
Oh yeah, I think everybody can come back if they wanted to, except for Peterson and Rogers. And heck, I mean, at this point, you have to start worrying about the coach. If things get too crazy, because he has done a tremendous job of keeping the team together, even when I thought things were okay. We're gonna max out being a little above average. I was losing a little bit of faith, and then finally, a couple months ago, we started to really pull it together, and I think that was the turning point. And Coach Amir, I think he says Kennesaw State is not a stepping stone. Famous last words for every coach, but I think he's going to have to. He could leave. If he got a good offer, he could leave this year. He could stay, and then he has the option of continuing the success with all his guys, having them all graduate, and making the leap next year. So he has some options. Or if he wants to stay and run a dynasty, go for it. But money talks, so I understand that.
John, I got one last question for you. You guys have won. Kennesaw's won a lot of really close games this year. You guys have a double overtime win, an overtime win. You just beat Jacksonville State at the buzzer. A couple other games, I think, came down to the final possessions. What has kind of been Kennesaw's secret sauce with that? What has been the key to all those big close wins?
I'd say experience. Definitely number one. We're the 57th oldest team in the country. These are the type of games that we lost last year, and don't even get me started on the years before. But those 50-50 type games, like last year we played a lot of games. We went up big, they came back, it was just uneven. This year, when it's crunch time, the guys aren't panicking. They know what to do. They've been there before. And, for example, the Bellarmine game, we had more depth than them. We wore them out. Eastern Kentucky was a 50-50 game, and playing a team 2 times in a row this past week, Jacksonville State. Honestly, I feel like we didn't have the same intensity that we even did the week before, and especially the week before that when we were rolling off all those wins. So I do have a little bit of concern how we come out against Liberty. I do think the home crowd will juice us with the environment, and we'll need that. But, I just don't think we've had that same pep in our step that we did, the prior month.
Yeah, John, I was going to ask, do you feel like the moment is too big for Kennesaw? I mean,
No.
most of our group has played in, if not one NCAA tournament, 2 NCAA tournaments, with Blake and Darius being on the team before COVID. But or do you feel like that experience doesn't matter, that you feel like pretty good about it, and that you guys are the Braun breakers of the league, but you're not the Roman Reigns yet.
Shout out to Bronson Rechsteiner, KSU alum, Braun Breaker, NXT WWE. But as far as that goes, we played a double overtime game against Bellarmine. I don't think that game should have been double overtime, in terms of we should have taken care of it. We ended up essentially, I think, hurting ourselves, and it just rebounded to the next game against Eastern Kentucky. I think that extra 10 minutes of play was the difference. And then, we looked a little fatigued versus Jacksonville State. So, we do play a physical game. Burden is, the smallest player on the court, but he is he has a huge heart, probably the biggest vertical on the team. He just can wear them. I think the team just wore themselves out a little bit. So hopefully we can recover. And it's really, all a matter of fresh legs, because the difference, I think, this past weekend, especially in that first game in Jacksonville State, is just shots falling. The shots that we're making when we're going good are shots that kind of rim out, versus Jacksonville State. So we just need to keep our percentages up, do better from the free throw line. I know Liberty, everybody's shooting like 85% plus. Youngblood's a great free throw shooter. Spencer Rogers shooting 69%, which is tremendous. And we have some other, we need our bigs to really improve there. Peterson, Stroud, and Robinson. Those guys are dicey from the line, but they seem to usually come up big when we really need one.
Awesome. Well, John, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully we could chat again before an ASUN final. That would be fun. That'd be a fun time.
Let's do it in person. I'll book a pub in Kennesaw. Guys, come down.
Can we go to the Pie in the Sky restaurant?
Absolutely. Will you guys do that? What's it called? The challenge with me, where you eat the giant pizza?
The carnivore challenge.
Carnivore challenge. Yes, that's it. Who's with me on that? Okay, no one's going to commit.
We'll take you to some good Lynchburg establishments.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks so much, John. We appreciate it.
Take care.
All right. Well, we will be right back with Ritchie Longshots. Ritchie Longshots. You know what? I forgot to put this up when Joel was on. I gotta still look at this. Look, the entire team is swarming our guy, and I feel like I had to, show that. Ritchie,
I love that game. Just look at everyone's shorts. How much has changed in 10 years in the game of basketball, if not for the length of everyone's shorts? It is a spectacle to see.
It is beautiful. All right. Well, hey, John Manson. How about this guy? We all thought he was dead in the water. He was like 15 games back at one point. Now he is within 2 of the mighty Ritchie Longshots. Ritchie, are you getting a little nervous with 2 weeks to go with the Manson train?
I'm going to use a horse racing analogy. I have my blinders on. I'm not looking to see who's coming up, who's on my right, who's on my left. I've been pretty much consistent all year. I'm going to knock on wood. I've avoided a dreaded just 3-8, 2-9 type week for the most part. Pretty much being able to go that 6-7 wins the whole time. I'm trusting my process. I'm going to continue on. And if Jon is out here making great picks and having 9 in 2 weeks, good for him. There's nothing I can do to stop that. I just got to keep my head down, keep doing what I'm doing. But it's great to see. You look all the way across, you see you combine all of our records, we're above 500. Chad, 6-5 week. Round of applause for him. That's a huge step. But no, I'm happy for Jon. I just had to sweat out some CAA a little bit ago. Delaware -7.5 against Stony Brook. So that was a nice little Monday night sweat. But you can hear I'm losing my voice because I was down in Liberty all weekend. So great experience, great people, courtside seats, hanging with KD. Shout out to Dennis Fields. Got to meet him and his family. Great tour of the football stadium. Coleman Crowley, we showed him a great time for sure.
What's your
Well,
thoughts
the people
on
weren't that great because me and Kirby weren't there.
It would have been even better.
One of these days I'll make the pilgrimage
Yes.
down there. What was your overall thoughts on the team? Seeing them in person. Anything different than the ESPN Plus broadcast, getting to see them up close, and anything kind of just catch your eye?
So did the first half courtside, and then the second half sat opposite, right behind the bench. And it's insane how much depth this team has that you don't realize when you're watching at home. But when you're there behind the bench and McKay's just like, bam, next person, like constant rotation, which is great because, you're getting everyone those minutes. And there's going to be some nights where, you're riding Porter's hot hand. Some nights it's going to be Kyle. So, finding out who are going to be your best 5 for that night and having them ready on the court was really cool to see just how much that flowed throughout the game. Kyle's even bigger than I realized. And it's just, what Darius does to see it live, how quick that step back is just, it's mind blowing.
Awesome.
They didn't cover though, but that's neither here nor there.
There was a brawl between UC Davis and Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
And some of those folks courtside got knocked into it. What's your reaction if Darius and somebody else are throwing elbows and you get knocked over at one of these games?
If I get knocked over, I'm going to be
I'm
going to be like a pregnant lady. Like, don't touch me. Get away. Like it's lawsuit city. Call up. We got a couple lawyers on Liberty Twitter. It'd be a banner of just my face in the Liberty Arena if I get knocked over or in a brawl. So, no, it would have been great to see. I was actually sitting next to a couple football players and Chad. So, we're ready to roll, And I told Coach at one point, I think he gave a little smirk. I said, Coach, if you don't get a technical, I will. So I'm ready to go. You just say the word. If we got a brawl, I'd rather get thrown out than Darius get thrown out of a game. So just keep that in mind if it's ever needed.
We'd rather that happen too.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into this week's picks. If I counted right here, Jon and Ritchie have picked different in 8 games this week. So there will be some I guess those are really the games you just got to watch. The other ones don't really matter, right?
Yeah, and again, like I said, I want to finish above 55%. It's been my goal for a while. I got to get through this week and next week. I could definitely really just blow it all away and end up below 50% outright, but just keeping it going. It's great because I do definitely want to have the best record and going to be have some vested interest in these games without having to actually put money on it. So that's always a plus. But no, it's going to be exciting. Kicking off tomorrow, a game that I probably would not be watching if it wasn't for this. So it'll be good to see.
Well, speaking of that game, it's a great game. It's a big matchup in the Big East. Creighton at Providence. I went with Creighton. They are playing really, really well. I think I saw actually today, I think in Torvik, they are like the number 1 team in the country over the last month in terms of efficiency. So I just think, man, that team's playing well. I know Providence, that is a nasty arena to try to go in and get a win. They have a ridiculous home record, but I'm going with the hotter team. I think Creighton is a lot better at their best than Providence at their best.
Yeah, so I'm kind of disappointed. You got it at a good number. The line right now is 2.5. I just saw it on FanDuel. But you said Providence is a tough place to play. Dunkin' Donuts Arena, correct?
I think like it was, and then they sold out. I think they sold out. The Dunk was what it was, but I think
tough place to play. They are 8-4 this year against the spread at home, and they're 5-3 against the spread this year as a dog. Yes, Creighton is playing well, but I guess I see this coming down to the wire. Would I love to have 2.5? Absolutely, but going with Providence. Providence at home dogs.
All right, Alabama at Tennessee. Look, Tennessee has had a great season. They have 2 straight losses. They're at home.
Very funny losses, by the way. I don't think we should brush past.
They're such a weird team. Like, they look like a legit Final Four team, and then they look like a team that's going to lose to a 15 seed the next night. I hate fading Alabama because that team is so darn good, but I believe in the home team that needs it more. I don't know. I'm 61-65, so what do I know? I don't know, but that's what I'm going with.
How do you respond losing 2 straight buzzer beaters like that? Like, you coming back to play the number 1 team in the country? Yeah, I'm absolutely worried. Alabama now is going to have that number 1 next to their name, and I feel like that is a major curse the moment that happens. But I'm going to trust Nate Oates. I think he's one of the best coaches in America. Anytime you have the number 1 team in the country getting points, you have to jump on that. I've been a big fan of Bama all year. I said it, I think, last week. The better they are, the better our resume's going to be looking. So hopeful that they can keep that train going. And if they're getting 2, I'll take it all day.
Will, Nate Oates, Tony Bennett, Ritchie McKay. Is there a better coach than those 3? A more likable, easy to root for coach? Am I missing anyone? Those would probably be like my 3 favorite coaches in the country.
Well, man, around here, a lot of people like Hubert Davis just because of his pedigree at Carolina. But no, I mean, I think those 3 guys. What's the guy's name at North Florida? Maybe get the gif of him screaming. I don't know.
It's a good one.
If we're talking most overrated coaches in the country, then yeah, definitely he'd be on that list. Jeez. All right. FGCU at Stetson, riding the seemingly back from the dead Dunk City on the road at the Stetson Wagon Hatters. I mean, this has been a ATS darling this year. You are going with Florida Gulf Coast. Why?
It's a big time. You zig when everyone else is zagging.
Okay.
They've won their last 2. I know they're fighting to get into the tournament, right? Still, are they still?
Yeah,
on
they
the bubble?
Are. No, they're
means
fighting.
more. Give me 4 points. Again, they're back from the dead. They won their last 2. A little bit of momentum, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm very interested in some of these teams that are playing for a lot more. Like Stetson, I mean, what are you playing for at this point?
Yeah.
You're not going to be a top 2 seed. You're not going to miss the tournament. So no, I mean that's a good. That'll be interesting to see. I'm really interested in like that. Not to get too far ahead, but the last game of the year is like Darius's second senior night. There is like a very good chance one way or the other that game is meaningless because if Liberty wins or loses, if there's no change in the standings before that game's going to end up being meaningless. So I'm very interested to see how that game turns out. But
I agree.
Yeah, it'll be weird, but cool, but different. I don't know. All right, Thursday, Liberty at Kennesaw. This is the biggest game of the year for Liberty. I mean, there's no way around it. I mean, there's probably a 90% chance that this game determines home court advantage in the ASUN tournament. Now, one of the two teams could get knocked off and they're not playing the semifinals, and then you do have home court advantage. But as we've seen all year in the ASUN, home court advantage is king. It's been huge. Liberty seems unbeatable at Liberty Arena for the most part. At times it's been beatable on the road. So huge game. You are going with the Owls. First off, Longshots, are you just saying, oh, they're going to cover the 5, or do you think they're going to win?
I think they cover the 5. I think Liberty wins. This is also an emotional hedge. However, you just mentioned it. Liberty away, they are 3-7 against the spread away this year. Kennesaw State 6-2 against the spread at home. Liberty has not covered the last. They did not cover during the double last week. Kicking myself because I said they were not going to cover against EKU. However, I was going to the game, therefore had to take Liberty. But that's either here nor there. But no, I just on the road, a team that, again, they've looked great, but 5 points. If this is a 1-possession game, I'll take the 5. This game goes to overtime. But it's part emotional hedge, part I don't love Liberty on the road in this spot. I hope we'll see.
Well, I want to bring you in on this. I got a question for you, your thoughts on this. So looking at Liberty's road games this year, the Eastern Kentucky and the Lipscomb game, I believe both of those games, we felt pretty confident Liberty was going to win, right? I wasn't as confident in Lipscomb, but I still felt pretty good. The two road games that I felt at the time most nervous about was that road trip of Jacksonville, North Florida, and Liberty just went in and took care of business. I kind of wonder here with Liberty, this is my gut feeling on this, is that they know what's at stake here. And if Liberty is now, I'm not saying they're not always fully focused, but if they're really dialed in, they're really going to come out and put everything they have into this game. Every piece of scouting is going to just be top notch. That's where I feel like Liberty's just going to come in and take care of business. I don't think Liberty's going to go win by 20 or anything like that, but I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win fairly convincingly.
Yeah, that Eastern Kentucky game was kind of a fluke game, right? I don't think Eastern Kentucky had any real business winning that game, but it just kind of shook out like that. I feel like Kennesaw State is the record shows it, but I feel like they're a much better team. So I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I'm sort of with you. I feel like they are going to come out and they're going to be intense and their game is going to be ratcheted up. But, if they shoot, the first 8 3-pointers and none of them go in, what happens then? So I will say, though, if for whatever reason they lose, Kennesaw gets the 1 seed and we have a final at Kennesaw, I think Liberty would play better the second game and win the tournament on their floor.
Rich McKay has never lost to the same team twice in the ASUN. So, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, even if you lose this game, is Kennesaw really going to beat Liberty twice in a season?
Right.
Yeah, that's that's tough. So that's
Kennesaw has never beaten Liberty.
That's
any
true.
Point.
That's true. Yeah. You wonder if that kind of creeps in too. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, Kennesaw can win this game. I'm not saying they can't. And I am very excited for this game. I think Liberty just comes in and takes care of business. That's just my feeling. All right, I am the lone dog on North Florida at Lipscomb. North Florida is just such a crapshoot. I'm getting 7 points here. North Florida is another one of those teams that needs it more than Lipscomb at this point. Am I nuts, Longshots?
I don't think you're nuts. I don't trust UNF on the road. They're 4-11 against the spread away this year. Lipscomb's starting to come into something. They're 4-1 in their last 5 against the spread. 7. I was very pleased when I saw that number because I was expecting something, maybe 9 or 10. So I'll take 7. I like Lipscomb here. Where's North Florida at? Where's Lipscomb, I think they're going to be trying to build some momentum up, going into the tournament, and they're at home, sneaky, tougher place to play than some of the other places in the ASUN, so it'll be difficult for North Florida. But any time I see Chad with the same pick as me, it gets me nervous, even if John has it too.
Yeah, I don't know why I went with North Florida. I really regret it. I'll ride with it. We'll see what happens. I mean, what do I got to lose at this point? But yeah, Lipscomb's kind of been a wagon at home, so yeah, that was a bad pick. But oh well. All right, North Alabama at Bellarmine. We were completely split on this. I faded Bellarmine all year. No point in changing now. North Alabama, I don't know where this team came from, but they are playing really, really well.
Yep.
I loved that team to like sneak into the final because I think Liberty would match up very well with them, but they are playing really, really well. Congrats to that program for, they were one of the absolute bottom dwellers in college basketball, and now they've been a very competitive ASUN team. I just think 3 points, the way they're playing, I think they're so much better than Bellarmine. I don't know, but it's whatever.
I agree. I looked at the record and I went, wait, what? Like they've just quietly gone through. We haven't really talked about them a ton on here. And I went, oh, all right. I'm kind of missed out on this. They're 7-3 in their last 10 against the spread. Yeah, give me that team.
They're 7-1 overall their last 8 games.
Yeah,
and they've won some road games too. They've won 3 road ASUN games, and they won at Ole Miss this year.
Yeah, and I think they're coming into this game with a major chip on their shoulder. Bellarmine has won the last 5 straight up against UNA, and I think they come into this game revenge spot, fired up, go in. Senior night at Bellarmine, probably go in and spoil senior night. Like, I love this game. Money line sprinkle.
Oh yeah, I like that. I like a money line this one for sure. This will be a good value. Although I think it's gonna be probably closer to a pick 'em. So we'll see. Baylor at Kansas. We're split on this. Both these teams have been wildly inconsistent. I think Baylor's been playing a little bit better of late than Kansas. But yeah, man, I'm only losing 4 points at Allen Fieldhouse. It always feels like a mistake to go against Kansas at home.
No, I agree. But just like Alabama, Baylor's been my team. I've been riding them all year. I'm a loyal guy. No reason to hop off, especially if they're catching 4. I know they're playing West Virginia right now. They were losing last time I checked. But that was about an hour or so ago. But no, Baylor's my team. Sticking to it. Ride or die.
All right. I like it. Yale at Princeton. Went with this game because this is for first place in the Ivy. And if you have first place in the Ivy League on the line, of course, it's got to be on here. Yep. What kind of show would we be without that? I went with the home team. Like putting that logo in there, so I wanted to put that in. That's kind of a sneaky, cool logo. That's my thoughts on this.
No, sometimes you just got to roll with the logo. It's going to be a great uniform game. Texas is really going to lose flat out to Texas Tech. They would. Yale is rolling. They, in their last 10, great against the spread. They're also just blowing teams out. They beat Princeton a month and a half ago by 22 points. A game was at Yale. I don't care. You can't tell me that whatever Princeton arena is, the Einstein Arena, is going to be a 22-point swing. So Yale's rolling everyone in the Ivy League. Might be a little sneaky 13-14 seed come next month. So just be on the lookout for Yale.
Yeah, for sure. BYU at St. Mary's. Again, I'm going against one of my darlings. Like, I love Alabama. I love St. Mary's. I think St. Mary's is a sneaky Final Four team this year. Just, man, 12 points for BYU. Like, BYU's too proud to go not cover a 12-point spread, right?
Did you miss that football game in October?
I don't.
He said, "What is
every football game in October?"
No, I was honestly, this is the game that I took the longest amount of. Yeah, too much screaming in LA. Yes, Chad, that is it. This game I took the longest to look at. St. Mary's, obviously, they had that marquee win against Gonzaga, lost their next game out, and then they laid an egg the first half on Saturday, I think. But then they came out second half and just rolled. I think they went on like a 22 to nothing run, something like that, to start off the second half. So I think they've beaten back that Gonzaga hangover, and they're just going to keep it rolling against BYU on a Saturday.
BYU definitely one of the more disappointing teams this year. I think the team was flirting around top 25 at the beginning of the year, and they're like 16 and 12.
Very, very similar to football. I'll just spoil it. It's very similar to football.
All right. I'm guessing we're have the same mindset but flipped on this next one.
Yeah.
I'm going Kennesaw because I think they're going to bounce back against Queens. You think you're going with Queens because you think they're going to have a letdown after Liberty. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, I hated this game. I hate that I picked Queens. I even hated it more when I saw it in the graphic. Queens has been losing, but they haven't been losing by that much. Their last 3 losses have been by an average of 4 points. Yes, Kennesaw State's better than those teams, but they're a team that's going to hang around to keep it close. And if Kennesaw State's winning this game handily, and that spreads right around the number, they're not going to risk injury and something meaningful. They're just going to be like, all right, fine. Cover the spread. We win by 5. That's all that matters. And Queens gets the cover. And again, I hate it. I hate it even more I look at it. It's like ugly gray graphic. I don't know what I was thinking.
All right, and then finally, I cannot believe the two guys picked Jacksonville State on this one. I think this might be my most confident Liberty pick all year. I think Liberty is 25 points better than Jacksonville State. I think they're going to cover this with ease. They're just so much better. I don't know. I think this line's going to be a lot higher than 11. This line's going to be like 15.
No, I agree. They just haven't quit yet. Jacksonville State, they're 4-1 against the spread in their last 5. So just again, it could be not even a letdown, but more of a, all right, we're going to just kind of coast, especially if Liberty does beat Kennesaw. They'll be like, all right, we're where we want to be. And I know Ritchie McKay's not going to let them have that attitude, but it's very easy to go, all right, we're up 15 with 5 minutes to go. Send in the walk-ons and let's just kind of coast it out. Let Jacksonville State hit a couple hero ball threes, cut it to single digits, and get out of there with a win.
Yeah. Will, you got any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
No, not really.
All right. Well, here's what we got going on. Kennesaw State, the biggest game of the year for Liberty, Thursday night. And then Jacksonville State, and then 2 Queens. And no, baby, we finished the regular season. It has come quick. ASUN tournament starts 2 weeks from today.
I keep forgetting about the Queens games.
Yeah. So, yeah, really looking forward to this. Like I said earlier, Chad and John are going to be live at Kennesaw, so we are going to try to do a pregame show before that, get a live hit from those guys to get you pumped and ready for that game. Thanks to all of our guests tonight. Really awesome show. Kyle Rode, Jason Porter, Joel VanderPol, and our guy Jon Finer of KSU Al Howell. Really cool to get his thoughts on this big matchup, and excited about this. We will be back normal time next Sunday night. We got a cool show. I won't spoil it yet, but it's going to be a really cool show. We got a big time guest. We got a huge guest coming on, so we're excited about that. Again, as always, if you're not subscribed to See Red on YouTube, please do that. Hit the like button while you're there. And then also this podcast, this is also version, is available in podcast form on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. So be sure to subscribe there. All right, for Ritchie, for Will, I am Nick. Have a great night, everyone.